everybody. This is Mais Karibyan, another podcast that I prepared for all my followers. Thank you, everybody, for following this channel. As you guys know, this podcast is about financial services, and my goal is to educate and bring value to individuals, families, so they can make better financial choices in their lives. And time to time, I have special guests, and my goal is with these guests to bring wisdom, people who are in a business world, sport world, and in entrepreneurs who have a lot of knowledge and experience under their belt that they share their wisdom in this podcast. And I'm honored to introduce today's guest. This is an individual that I go many, many years back. I would say more than 2 decades back. We've been, working together in a real estate field, real estate industry for a long time now. And a little bit background about the individual. Not only he's a good friend, but he's a professional UFC fighter who had a great record of 12-2. He'll talk about that in a second. And also he's been a professional in judo, national and international champion for many, many times. But more importantly, a Christian man, family man, great businessman, great entrepreneur, and good friend of mine, Sarkis Sam Chivitchian. Sam, how are you?
Great, Mais. It's always a pleasure and good to see you.
Yeah. How's everything with you?
I'm very happy to be here. We're blessed to be here. Everything is great. Everything is awesome. We're just like everyone else, dealing with everyday life of blessings, problems, solving problems, fighting that good fight, as they say.
Yeah. Well, I was waiting for this interview for a while. I know we did 1 or 2 before. I think maybe 1 or 2. I don't remember exactly. In my house. And I know that every time I do interview with you, not only I learn from you, but the information you provide in the business world, we'll talk about it. It's very valuable. How's life with you and how's business with you nowadays?
Life is amazing. The family's growing. Have 3 kids now.
3 kids.
2 boys, 1 girl. And so the family's growing. The business is growing. As you mentioned, it's been over 20 years now in real estate and finance. And I can't complain, just trying to stay healthy, trying to stay active and just, happy to be here again. Like you mentioned, the last time we did it, I mean, the studio looks amazing.
Thank you.
Very nice, very professional. So I'm glad things are going well with you also.
Well, I'm not professional in sport like you are, but at least this studio, I try to make it as professional as possible. Now, Sam, a lot of people know you from real estate, and you specialize in hard money lending, and we call it private lending. Little bit talk about your company and what do you do specifically?
Sure. Yeah. So my company is Secured Capital Lending.
Yeah.
So Secured Capital Lending, basically what we are is we're a direct hard money lending company.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people will use the terminology private lending.
Private lending,
which in essence is the same thing. But basically what we do is we are a very niche type of lending. So these are short-term loans that we lend to borrowers who are investors. Okay, so our most of our clients are developers, flippers, rehabbers, people who want to build rental portfolio. So anyone who basically would qualify as a real estate investor will time to time borrow hard money because it's quick approvals. It's more asset-based rather than financial documents. And we also provide the construction financing for a lot of these real estate projects. So that's where hard money really comes in handy. And that's what our company provides. And so we don't just, a lot of people have a misconception. We don't lend to owner-occupied properties or
investment
people who are buying houses to live in because those are for more 30-year terms. Our loans are traditionally just like 12-month short-term, where we also refer to as bridge loans.
Got it. Now, you've been doing that long time, and from last time that we had a show, a lot of things changed, especially COVID in between. What has changed in hard money lending generally?
Yeah, so not too much has changed, and the reason why is unlike the mortgage industry where it's like mortgage banking, where a lot of the money comes from banks and institutions. Hard money, our money does not come from banks. It comes from private investors.
Yeah, those are individuals.
Right. So what we do is we basically raise capital from individual investors who invest in our company and fund.
Okay.
And we lend their money to real estate investor borrowers.
Yeah.
And they gain their interest. So when your money and your capital is not tied to the banks and institution, you have more control over your money. You basically can make your own guidelines and parameters of what is risky loan to you versus not. So not too much has changed. We have become a little bit more conservative than we were, let's say, prior to COVID and prior to the rate hikes that happened 2 years ago. Yeah. But overall, I mean, it's pretty stable.
Pretty
stable.
Would say.
Yeah.
Now, Sam, I did probably over, I don't know the number, but many deals with you. And I did X amount of flips. And every time I approach you on the hard money, I remember time-wise, sometimes, we close the deal less than 2 weeks. Now, why it's so fast and why any realtor like me should have a partner like you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get it a lot from brokers.
Yeah.
And so the reason why it's faster is some of the things we already touched upon is, number one, we're not like a conventional bank that needs a full doc verification. So our underwriting is more focused on the property, the project, making sure that the investment makes sense, not so much the borrower. We do look at the borrower. Like
their experience maybe
we'll look at the credit and experience.
Got it.
Just to see your credibility, just to see your track record. But we can make decisions very fast. Like, our average loans today are closing 7 to 10 days because, we'll get a submission. We can do our due diligence on the property within 2-3 days. And then pull someone's credit, look at their track record and go to loan docs. And because you're not getting the capital from banks, you don't have to go through series of underwriting and committees and departments to get your approval. So everything can be done within a matter of days, and which is very valuable. Brokers and realtors, anyone who's competitive in the as a realtor business, listing agent, selling agent, needs to have a good preferred private money lender. And the reason why is, you might go into escrow with a client and they're trying to get a bank loan. And the bank conditions them the last hour when you're supposed to get the loan docs.
It happened to me.
And you have 3-4 days left. You want to have a trusted hard money lender that you can go to who'll help
to close
it, secure the property, and then refinance after. And so basically time-sensitive transactions, right? And then also properties that, the appraisal comes and is in pretty bad shape that the bank won't finance it because the property's too beat up. We don't care about that. We can finance, even land per se. So that's really kind of some of the benefits.
Is it fair to say hard money is as powerful as cash?
Yes. I mean, in essence, a lot of our clients, when they're making offers, their competition is cash buyers. So, a traditional escrow for a cash buyer is like 10 days or 2 weeks, where if someone does get a pre-approved with a hard money lender, they can compete with a cash offer that's 10 days or 2 weeks. And a lot of times we can do our due diligence within a day or two while they're making the offer. This way they can even waive a lot of their contingencies like appraisal because they know that we've already done our initial due diligence and desktop. So yeah, it to a lot of sellers and listing agents, a hard money offer has equal
As a cash.
value to compared to a cash
Yeah.
offer.
Now, Sam, how people can get hold of you, and what's the process? And if they see this podcast, is there a special for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Any client that calls off your podcast, we'll definitely give them a 25% off our normal pricing. And so, again, our company is Secured Capital Lending. You can contact us through our website. You can learn more about our different loan products at securedcaplending.com. We do have our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram at securedcaplending.com, or they can simply call the office, 818-505-3490. Yeah, usually within a couple hours, we can at least do pre-approvals and give initial pricings for loan requests. So everything kind of moves pretty fast. Yeah.
Now, I wanna, little bit change the subject and go a little bit personal question. I know your background it comes from, sports. You were professional at it. Did that help you to be a better businessman?
Yeah, hands down. It absolutely did. I was in martial arts. I got thrown into martial arts from 5 years old because, in our family and my cousins, they were judo champions and everything. So at 5 years old, I got thrown into the sport of judo and became very good at it at a very young age.
I mean, your record is awesome. 12-2, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I competed multiple times, national champion, international champion in judo. And then later on, transitioned to the sport of MMA, which is very aggressive. Now I look back, I'm like, how did I do that? But when you're a younger, you tend to look at life with a different lens. Yeah. But I, fought my way up to the UFC. I fought professionally and retired at 12-2. And but it's a young man's sport. I enjoyed it. My body paid the price for it. I have a lot of injuries that kind of stuck with me, but as you said, how that helps me in life, in business is, through martial arts in general, you get disciplined, you learn a lot of good life lessons, how to be, gets your confidence up, self-defense, to have discipline, to have determination, to set goals and commit to the hard work to get to reach that goals. So all these life lessons you transferred to business, which again, we're in any type of business, there's competition. You have to be able to, be persistent and have good work ethic and a lot of that good stuff.
So you took a lot of those skills from sports and applied it in a business.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's why I encourage all my friends and family, like, take your kids to martial arts. They don't need to go and become UFC fighters and all of that.
Your son does, right? Right now.
Yeah, my son's doing soccer and wrestling now. And it's not, if they become great at it and they want to do it, internationally. Yes, but the goal is not so much for that. It's for them to basically, number one, be healthy, learn to respect their bodies, but most important, to get disciplined and understand, build that good work ethic.
Nice. Now, Sam, one of the questions I love asking, and I believe I ask a lot of the guests I had, the knowledge you have today, at this age, all this experience you went through and you have, if you go back and give the same advice to Sam who was 20, what would you tell him?
Man, that's a long list. I've made my quite share of mistakes, and most importantly is learning from your mistakes. We're all human; no one is perfect. Yeah. And but I would, one thing I would say for sure is think always long term. Don't be short sighted. Don't always think, okay, I have this today and let me just settle for this. Is when you're planning, whether it's investment planning or planning for business or anything you're going to invest, always think long term, because when your perspective is more long term, the steps you take and the patience you have you think things through more deeper than rather when you're thinking short term. What can I get today, and we'll worry about tomorrow later. This way, you make
it costs you a lot, the mistakes.
Yeah, it costs you a lot. Your gain is short lived, and a lot of times you end up making bad choices because if you went long term, you would have ended up being much bigger of a winner. And also managing your money. Management. Everyone can make money, but managing your money, knowing when to invest, when to save, and all that choices is something that unless, like for example, I wasn't born into a family of business owners, so I had to learn the first steps of business from ground up from the beginning. So just understanding that just because you're having a good run in business today doesn't mean that that's what. So you want to plan for the future. Don't blow your money on things that are temporary and temporary pleasures. But as you said, it's a good question. but it's like. Some things you have to just live through to learn, because that personal experience of learning from mistakes is so much more valuable. Yeah.
Sam, next question that just popped up in my head. You deal with a lot of wealthy people. What are some things you learn from them? Why they so successful, or what makes them successful?
Yeah, a lot of our investors are very high net worth investors, and so I love hearing their stories on the journey. Some of them were born into money and had to get really educated. The parents made sure they got super educated so they can not blow all that money away that the family made. And some of them were self-made that worked to get up there. But the one thing that I see in common with everyone, because everyone has different backgrounds, different cultures, but, and it's not a secret. It's really... most of them are just hardworking people. They have good work ethic, right?
Yeah.
And they know how to manage money. They were not quickly tempted to buy toys and things in the beginning. But just learning for them, to plan ahead, but the most important, I would say, quality that I see in people who get to that successful level versus those who don't is they're problem solvers. Nice. So and the one thing that I picked up from them is to be a good problem solver is, number one, you need to realize that problem is not necessarily a bad thing. It can seem bad at the moment, but the more problems you solve, the better you become at
and more money you make.
The better you become as being a problem solver. And guess what happens is whenever those problems come with other people that have those problems and they don't want to solve it, they come to you and they pay you to solve their problem. So in essence is, don't run away from problems, tackle them. No one, don't be afraid of it, and just learn from that process and ask questions and be confident that, what, I'm going to learn from this, and what I learn is my gain.
Got it. Now, Sam, I know your father, you're a great family man, and you believe in God. How that impacts your life, and what's your purpose? Besides, we all strive to become successful in the business world. I guess my question is, what is success to you?
Yeah, success. That's $1 million question, because after coming to faith in our Lord Jesus Christ, about almost 10 years ago, my whole world perspective changed, right? Because there's from a worldly definition, success is all about having the most money, having the most wealth, and traveling to the most vacations. Which, again, these are not bad things on the face of it.
Yeah.
But when that becomes your purpose and that becomes your only motivation, that's where you can make a lot of bad choices because, if your only focus is money and to make more money than anyone else, in that process, you are going to be pushing away a lot of people and make choices where you might ruin relationships and to get to that level that and then that's where greed starts creeping in and you might make bad choices because now you're greedy, you want to make more, and it's never enough, right? It's never enough. So I think through faith and in believing in God, you get more content,
more satisfied.
Yeah, you're satisfied with what you have, and you're more confident in the sense that you know that God is the ultimate providers because we all can work hard. We can do the same thing, me and you together, and a door can open for you and a door can close, but we're doing the same thing. And so, and a lot of times, I believe God is the one that opens and closes the doors. We do our part, which is, be disciplined and work hard and everything. And sometimes the opportunities come and sometimes they don't. And just understanding that to be content and not to be greedy and enjoy that process. But as you said, we don't want to worship money. We're men, especially men. We like to make money. It's our responsibility to take, as fathers, as husbands, to take care of the family, and we take pride in that, and it's our responsibility. But there's a line where liking to work and make money is one thing, but worshiping money, where you're just cheating people, lying to people to make money, and ruining relationships. That's now a form of a worship where that money becomes your God and it starts to control your life, rather you controlling the money.
Now, as a closing, I guess, there's a lot of people gonna, watch us. What would you advise to individuals how to succeed, especially the young ones? Because that's something I believe, I remember my career. I was 18 when I started this business. And I think, I got lucky enough to come across right people who teach me, help me, kind of guide me and help me not to quit the business world. And a few years later, I saw the success. What would you tell to youngsters how to choose the right path and how to stick and succeed?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And the first thing I would say is, especially in our community, the Armenian culture, right? When you're growing up, everyone's parents is like, oh, you need to become a doctor or an attorney, right? And because in their mind, that's what successful means. But I think when you get older and you understand how things really work, especially in this country, you realize, to me, the most important thing is when someone gets into a career or a business, they have to enjoy it. They have to develop a passion for it. Okay, your drive, your motivation. Yes, we all want to make money, but if you're young now and your only motivation, the way you're choosing your career is solely what
Based
makes
on
money. Okay, eventually you're gonna burn out. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, in every business there's a market and there's a competition. And once you start competing in that business, the guys that are doing it because they love what they do and they have a passion, they're going to outlast you. If your motivation is only money, then think. So what I would say is there's a quote that I always like to say is, you'd rather be a great plumber than a bad attorney. Because, I mean, look at, there's great plumbers, have great businesses, they make a lot of money, and bad attorneys can make very little money and be miserable because they don't like what they. So what I would say is find something that you can have a vision in your mind that you see yourself doing because you enjoy it. Okay? Because especially in this country with so much opportunities, in any business, if you become elite, you get in the top 10, 20%, you're going to be making money. Okay. Whether you're a plumber, attorney, or real estate agent, or you have a taco shop, or whatever you're doing, right? So that's what I would say. Number one is make sure it's something that you're motivated by, that you enjoy, and that passion. And also, I think, and this is something that I've seen in you, you're really good at, is that you're not shy to ask questions. You always want to learn, and I've seen that persistence in you, and I want to praise you for that.
Thank you.
And I think young people should take that because, basically you have to be a good listener, right? And because if you're not, and if you're just wanting, if you think you know everything, and if you think that...
That's when you stop growing.
Exactly. So a lot of times is if you want to get to that next level, you're looking up to someone, is you need to learn how to take information. And for that, you need to be a good listener. Number one, you need to be humble. And so that, and ask people, hey, you know what? I might understand a little bit about what you're talking about, but can you
explain,
clarify? So take in information, be a sponge, and from this, you're going to see that you're now able, the more information you have, the better choices you can make. The more prepared you'll be when the time comes to decide on your career or your next move in business.
And again, guys, I want to remind everybody that anyone who has question regarding hard money lending, you guys see the information that Sam is providing. Call their office, visit their site. Any questions you guys have, call them, ask them. And if you mention that you watched or got hold of them through this podcast, they'll have a special discount for you. Now, Sam, as a closing, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy businessman. You have a full-time duty being a father, husband. So I want to thank you for your time. And in the future, maybe we can do another podcast and maybe go some of your scenarios that you funded, more detail and specifics, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'd love to. And it's been a great conversation. It's always good seeing you and talking about life, about business, about faith, and a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I'm happy to do it again and dive deeper into some recently fundings. And just for the audience to get more idea, we also do put a lot of our recently fundings on our website and on our social media. Just have some extra information if they want to have a better idea of the type of loans we make.
Great. Well, Sam, thank you again for coming to this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share in your pages. I'll see you guys next time. Mais Karibyan. Take care.